is a hoax. This is the greatest hoax. This is just a continuation of what's been playing out, John, for the last, since my election, I would say, if you want, and probably we'll find out soon, but probably even before my election. This is a fraudulent crime on the American people, but we'll work together with Shifty Shift and Pelosi and all of them. It has to be a criminal act. It has to be. And he should resign. And some people even say it was treason. But it was a very sad thing. Obama, when he was dealing with the president of Russia, not Putin, he said, hey, tell Vladimir I can do a lot more after the election. You remember that? You didn't make a big deal out of that. Everybody thought, oh, isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? To impeach a president over a fraud that was committed by other people that want to win an election in 2020, which they won't, is incredible. This is the greatest hoax. Now, it's gone on for a long time. We had the Mueller collusion delusion, okay? That went on for years. And that's finally done. No collusion, no obstruction, no nothing. It was a joke, and everyone knows it. And it was from the day one. Now, I get 3 days of peace, and I'm walking into the United Nations, going to meet with the biggest leaders in the world, and I hear about the word impeachment. I said, what did I do now?
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, is the Democrats' latest push for impeachment just another part of their strategic coup they've been enacting since they lost the election of 2016? We're going to take a look at some news that the mainstream media really wants to bury. Do you guys remember when John McCain and Adam Schiff and Maxine Waters were all receiving those Ukrainian prank phone calls, which were actually Russian jokesters, quote unquote? Well, we're going to take a deeper dive into that and a whole bunch of other things, decoding their secret messages and a whole lot more. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check that out, plus a whole lot more. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk and another big show tonight. First of all, thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button already. If you haven't, come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Q post 3570 is where we left off. And of course, it's all coming out in Red October. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about a bunch of other things. I have many different stories that are very big that are important to what is happening now with this whole push for impeachment of President Trump. And why is it coming now? There is so much coming out that they are terrified, they're panicking, and when they panic, they push everything they can. And I have sources coming out saying that this is going to be way bigger than anybody understands. And we're going to talk about some of those possibilities, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Before we do that, I always encourage everyone, come back here, watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Look, this is big, and I'm telling you, we got to keep pushing this information out there and get around the mainstream media and their stranglehold on information to the American public. That you guys hitting the share button is a very helpful way to keep this channel up and going. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Also, if you're new to QAnon, watch this video. What's QAnon the Great Awakening? Will give you all the information you need about that. But before we get into our first story, I want to start here. Q post 834, March 3rd, 2018. Q says, the bridge, 187, bridge 2, at Snowden and the Clowns. Now let me explain this. Previous posts, Q says, the bridge, Podesta Group, right? And this is from June 15th. So this was the later post, but this shows us, I should say, excuse me. Bridge, Podesta Group, bridge between media, FBI, DOJ, HRC plus. Why did the Podesta Group close? Public charges? No. Why close? When did Huber start? November? John Podesta Huma, November. Sealed. Do they know? Why did the Podesta Group close? Why no leaks? Who else knows? HRC deal request. Why? Inspector General Huber. Can IG disclose evidence in pending criminal case? Cases in public disclosure reports. Why not? Grand jury taint bias. Everyone has an opinion. Clickbait. Now, take that in connection with this post that Q gave us talking about the bridge 187, bridge 2. What is bridge 2? Bridge 2 is the connection between Snowden and the clowns, right? The link to Google and big tech, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and the way that they were back channeling this other technology, the ICBM tech, and HRC was giving the open source tech to other countries, right? Special access programs, John Podesta, Tony Podesta. This talks about the highest levels of the U.S. government, Uranium One, North Korea. Why would Russia tell the world? Why? Why is Seth Rich back in the news? Of course, it was talking about that time, Seth Rich being in the news. But I want you to take that in context with what we're going to talk about here today. And I want you to remember one thing, that Q has told us already, basically in not so many words here, that John Podesta and Huma Abedin will be, something will happen in November. Now, knowing military precision timing and hearing things that I'm hearing, I think it's safe to speculate that there may be some big arrests coming this November, and Operation Red October is in full swing. But I'll leave that for you guys to check out for yourselves, because you got to remember, this has been in motion for quite some time, and it may come to a head here. But let's get into the first story. So here's the first story. We have Hillary Clinton coming out and slamming President Trump for asking China to start an investigation into the Bidens with regard to, obviously, Hunter Biden, Bohai Harvest, the company that he works for, and how that all relates back to the $1.5 billion hedge fund money that was transferred and given control of by the Communist Party officials, presumably because they would control the banks. This was the State Bank of China, I believe. But she calls President Trump out, but she forgets that she went on national television herself not too long ago with Rachel Maddow and called for President Xi, to go and illegally take President Trump's financial tax records and give them to her. I mean, really. So talk about the pot calling the kettle black. You guys can watch all the clips from this for yourselves, but this is really funny. You know, you'll recall here she was on Maddow saying that, and it just, to me, it's indicative of what we're going to be getting into in this episode. Now, let's get into a big story that I think a lot of people may overlook and not, speaking of Hillary Clinton, let's talk about John Podesta. Let's talk about these creepy, weird pictures. We talked about this in the last episode about them taking pictures of these redwood trees, and this was some symbol that they were all using. And I can show you just a few examples. Here's Comey in some, forest. I don't know if those are redwoods. I'm not a tree expert, but here is the Duchess and Duke of Sussex in the redwood forest this was down in New Zealand, I believe. But what these all have in common is they keep posting these messages about the redwoods. And I was like, I kind of asked in the last episode, well, what does this all have to do with one another? And somebody pointed out to me that it all is connected back to the Northwest, which is connected to Bohemian Grove, which is connected to the occult. And apparently, from what I can understand, that some of my sources have been saying this, so just, passing along the information. But Podesta apparently has a home, I guess, in Sonoma, somewhere in that area, in the Napa area in California. I have no idea where. But that is a part of what Bohemian Grove has grown into. We all know what Bohemian Grove was and is probably to this day, which is a part of this broader spectrum of influence, which goes on beneath the surface that publicly nobody's really aware of. But a lot of people have made, very pointed statements about Bohemian Grove, including one of our former presidents, Richard Nixon, who I'm not going to get into what he specifically said about Bohemian Grove, but he did infer that there was some strange activity going on in that place. And if all of these people, I think, are connected to these things that Q has been alluding to, then if we start tying tying it all together, maybe we can start seeing a broader picture that some of these people were involved in things and they have these codes for how they talk to one another to communicate. Like, for instance, James Comey has so many questions, so perhaps he's reaching out to his friends at Bohemian Grove who can give him some information to help him figure out what's happening. And remember, this post was on the same day as Attorney General Barr's delivering his summary to Congress about the Robert Mueller investigation, right? Where basically Barr's conclusions were that there was no evidence that Trump conspired or coordinated with Russia in 2016. So this was a point at which James Comey was confused. I thought, he says, I thought our secret societies and cabal of deep state players were going to overthrow Trump. What's happening, right? Just a thought, food for thought. Thought I'd bring that up, just have a, simple conversation about that. I thought I'd point that out, and then, we can kind of move forward to the next question and kind of decoding or decompiling this entire secret coup against President Trump. Now, what we have here is this latest story. You guys probably heard this by now about Joe Biden calling on TV networks to stop booking Rudy Giuliani. Now, Rudy Giuliani is one of the few people who's come out and provided documentable evidence that Joe Biden was under investigation for criminal activity in Ukraine and his son, apparently. But and this is sworn affidavits from the prosecutor who was fired by Joe Biden through his threat to withhold over $1 billion in funding loans to the Ukrainian government. Now, this in and of itself, really demands further scrutiny. But if we tie this back to what we were just talking about with Podesta and how they've all been coming out and they post these pictures and they have these messages for one another because they have these ways of contact, you have to start asking some very important questions. For instance, Exhibit A. This is a picture of Joe Biden, his son Hunter Biden, and the Ukrainian gas exec Devin Archer. Now, when they say Ukrainian gas exec, that's a very limited way of describing Devin Archer and his role with this clan. But I want to just kind of briefly put together some things for you, and then we'll go into one of the Anons over on the boards who gave a very succinct breakdown of a theory that connects basically the Vatican to Devin Archer, to Joe Biden, to Hunter Biden, to their company, to different factions of wealthy families that are connected back to Epstein. You got to hear this, but think about this just broadly speaking. President Trump today tweeted a video, or yesterday, I guess, tweeted a video of, it was a few things, and then it had a picture, this picture being held up by a famous musician, I think named Nickelback. And anyway, the video got banned, and he was holding up this picture, and it was kind of a joke. It was saying like, oh, I guess Hunter Biden and Joe Biden never spoke about their company, Burisma Holdings, that they were working with through their company. Although this picture here, as evidence, is of Devin Archer and Hunter Biden, who are both on the board at Burisma Holdings in Ukraine, and both worked at a firm called Rosemont Seneca Partners, right? Think about that, okay? This picture was taken, I think, months after they had taken those positions. So you don't think they maybe had a discussion about it? Regardless, the point is, one of these Anons put together something that I wanted to share with you. And I'm just going to read this. And, I want you guys to go out and dig if you want, because I haven't been able to verify every single fact in here, but I can tell you that there's a lot to this, and a lot of this sounds very, very reasonable to make these connections simply. It says the Vatican receives money from the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation and the Mellon family. The Mellon Project at the Vatican Library was the result of one of these donations. The Mellon Foundation also donates to the Wexner Center, created by Les Wexner. Les Wexner, of course, is connected to Jeffrey Epstein, as we all know, through his ties to Victoria's Secret, the modeling, the fact that he's claimed to be one of the first people to be one of Jeffrey Epstein's clients, so on. Now, the Mellon Foundation was formed by the Mellon family in honor of Andrew W. Mellon. Other companies connected to the family are Alcoa, Gulf Oil, Westinghouse, Rockwell, and most importantly, Heinz. Now, like we talked about, Heinz. Who is Heinz? Heinz is Christopher Heinz. It's a stepson of John Kerry, who is related to Devin Archer and Hunter Biden through this Rosemont Seneca Partners. It says Heinz was created and prospered under the guidance and finances of the Mellon family. Heinz uses Rosemont Capital as an investment vehicle for the family. Rosemont Capital has a sub called Rosemont Seneca Partners, who is in current news, notoriously formed by Hunter Biden and Devin Archer. Little do people know, the third founding partner of the firm is is a firm called Thornton Group, which is run by James Bulger, the nephew of notorious Boston gangster James Whitey Bulger. Whitey Bulger's brother, William Bulger, was a member of the Massachusetts State Senate and a profound political ally of John Kerry. The same John Kerry who married into the Heinz family, the same Heinz family who happened to own the Rosemont Capitol and participate in Rosemont Seneca Partners with Biden, Archer, and Bulger. So do you see the little connections here? So they sum it up here saying, so there you have it, Ukraine to Epstein to Vatican, all through the Mellon, Wexner, and Heinz families. Now all these traders went on to sell off U.S. strategic assets, this is a theory, through their joint venture with the Chinese government in Bohai Harvest RST. Now, this is how it gets crazier because you connect Rosemont Seneca Partners to Bohai Harvest. BHR, short for Bohai Harvest, went on to partner with Aviation Industry Corporation of China, the Chinese government, and then they go on to talk about some engine part. But regardless, the point is, you can understand when you start connecting the dots here, you can understand why President Trump is coming forward and saying, look, we got to dig deeper into this. It's his duty to call for an investigation into these connections, right? So yet the media wants to make mountains out of molehills on President Trump's side with any little thing he's done. If he's, not paid one tax 1 year, if he missed a dot or a dot on an I or a cross on a T. This is really where we're coming from. And this is why they're fighting back and panicking so hard right now. Another Anon pointed out, and I just want to point to these two posts because I thought they were very interesting. This clip I'm going to show you right now of John Brennan.
Supposedly going to be interviewed by Mr. Durham as part of this non-investigation. I remember William Barr, when he was testifying in front of Congress, he said he didn't understand the predication of the counterintelligence investigation that was launched into Russia's interference in the 2016 election. I don't understand the predication of this worldwide effort to try to uncover dirt, either real or imagined.
Either real or imagined. Either real or imagined.
That would discredit that investigation in 2016 into Russian interference. On one hand, the Obama administration is crucified for not doing enough. Mm-hmm. And now they're looking for what we might have done in order to try to understand better and to prevent the Russian interference. And I do agree, it's not just that Trump doesn't care about Russian interference. I think he is hoping that he's going to get it because he knows that Russia interfered on his behalf.
So did you hear what I heard there? Did you hear the fear and panic in his voice? When he talks about, oh, well, I'm going to get interviewed by John Durham. I mean, I don't know what I did, and what the Anon points out here, which is really important, is a few things. I'm going to read this to you. Quote, I don't understand the predication of this worldwide effort to try to uncover dirt, either real or imagined. That's such an important way he phrases it. As the Anon points out here, that is basically a tacit admission of guilt when you consider what he's basically saying. Well, if it's real dirt on us and we actually did all this stuff, I don't know why everybody's, so obsessed with it. What? That's really what it seems like he is saying in no other uncertain terms. But I'll leave that for you guys. I don't know. I just showed you the clip and read you what was said here, and I thought that was interesting. So now to the next big story. This is where we're going to wrap it up, but it's a big story that could connect a lot of things, and not many people have talked about it. Now, there were these pranksters who were going around pranking everyone. Now, we've heard the latest with Adam Schiff, and you've heard where Adam Schiff has been on with this prank Russian phone call where he was offered these naked pictures of President Trump by somebody who alleged to have been from Ukraine and was high up official there. And you can hear him on the phone, going along with it, saying, yeah, I'm very interested. Well, a couple other things happened. There were a few other prank calls that nobody talks about anymore. And one was to no-name John McCain. That was really important. And another was Maxine Waters. Now, they were both fooled by these pranksters who called in from this prank show. And this is from Snopes, where I just thought it was interesting. When you look up the Snopes article about it, it literally says unproven. So they didn't even try to prove or disprove it. They're unproven. Prove it to me. That's literally their motto, right? They're supposed to be going out and investigating and debunking and doing all that. They said, prove it to me. That's their solution. Anyway, it's hard to find versions of these calls. First of all, I was very fortunate to find, I believe it was not this article from Tammy Bruce, but it was from this other article here, which discussed the details of it right here. And this discussed the details of the McCain call, and which were interesting, where it seems like he was discussing national security matters with these two Russian pranksters, Lexus and Vovan and Lexus, who were posing as the prime minister of Ukraine at the time, Vladimir Groisman, and they literally got him to start discussing national security on the phone. They also did the same thing to Maxine Waters, and I'll leave a link to this where it actually has the audio of the phone call. Now, I guess nobody's proven that it was Maxine Waters on the phone call, but it seems fairly obvious if you listen to it that it is her. And what's interesting about this is over here, this article was written back in 2017, and this is when this all happened, back in February of 2017. And this article sums it up perfectly. I just want to read these last few paragraphs to you because they are exactly what I think we all should be concerned about with regard to all of this. Again, remember, this is from 2017, before Q even was around. It says, there should be an immediate investigation into McCain and Graham's ties to Ukraine, their ongoing freelance foreign policy, their offers to send arms there and involve the U.S. in the civil war in Ukraine, their push to initiate more sanctions on Russia at Ukraine's behest, and even to encourage Ukraine to take the provocative step of formally requesting a NATO membership. These ongoing attempts to set U.S. foreign policy and draw us into conflict with Russia via independent, reckless diplomacy are unacceptable and inappropriate, particularly since it appears to be designed to undermine Trump's stated U.S. policy to engage with Russia. To do it in the current climate of escalating tensions is nuts. McCain is setting his own policy in Ukraine and making an already dangerous situation even more so by fomenting the civil war there and threatening to get the U.S. involved in what could be a direct confrontation with nuclear-armed Russia. And don't forget what President Trump is always saying about how if they had won, we'd be at war. So don't forget that. They were trying to push a war with Russia globally. They were trying to push a broad conflict. So remember that. It says, this is why the president alone has power under Article 2 of the Constitution to conduct foreign relations on behalf of the United States and not a council of senators. It is so that on the world stage, we have one official spokesperson. McCain can propose we go to war over Ukraine via legislation, but that is a debate for the halls of Congress and the American people, not foreign leaders. This goes to the heart of the separation of powers, which McCain, one-time Republican nominee for president, ought to respect. So, obviously, this was written before McCain passed away. And you got to remember this. When you think about all of this and you take it into context with what we know, we have Maxine Waters and we have the fact that, you know, this was happening to other officials like Adam Schiff, as I said before, and all these others. They were getting pranked, but the Russian pranksters weren't. I mean, I think they were exposing something that was much bigger. Maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally, I can't tell you. But they're exposing the fact that, as outlined there, we have this council of senators running this outside government trying to go around President Trump when it comes to, you know, setting foreign policy for the United States, trying to push us into a war with a nuclear-armed country, it seems. And don't worry, they definitely bleached the entire internet of all the videos, except I have downloaded a copy of Maxine Waters, the prank call, and I've kept that, and I'm still seeking the McCain prank phone call. I can't find it. If you guys have a copy of it, go ahead and send me an email, justinformedtalk@gmail.com. If you guys have that or have a link to it, you can send that to me. I want to see that full phone call between McCain and these two supposed comedians from Russia, because it's basically been, you know, taken off the internet. These are all the different places you can try to find it, but it's not available. And that is just where I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things before we go. If you guys want to help out the channel, watch these videos, share them on my social media, hit the subscribe button, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. That helps out big time. Also, don't forget to come over here and be Brave. Download the Brave browser if you guys haven't done that yet. Look, it is an internet browser, just like you would use Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, whatever. And you download it, install it using the link in the description of this episode, and you run it and it blocks ads and it makes your internet experience that much better. Plus they make a donation to the channel. So you make a contribution to the channel. It's free for you and it gives you a product that will help you. So those are the ways that's the way I look at it as a win-win. That's how you can support the channel. Also, in less than a week, October 10th through 12th in Miami, American Priority Conference. If you don't have your tickets, if you're not going to come, you need to go get a ticket and come. Use the promo code Craig to get $150 off your ticket. Link will be in the description, and I hope I see you guys there. Also, don't forget, you can come find me over here on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED. That's the official page for Just Informed Talk. We can have a conversation and connect. It's a great way to get in touch outside the YouTube channel. Also, I have JustinformedNews.com, the official website for Just Informed Talk, where you get links to the Q stuff, news. Of course, you'll have breaking news and the latest videos from the channel. That's JustinformedNews.com. A couple other ways you can help out are both financial, Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. You know, you're helping create content on this channel. With what's happening with demonetization at YouTube, you guys are the reason that I'm able to keep doing this 24/7, 365. So thank you for your support. Your support keeps this channel alive and running. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to both will be in the description. Links to everything will be in the description. You guys should go and check those out. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today I want to share this verse out of the book of 1 John, chapter 2, verse 15 through 17, and it talks about a warning about the world around us. And I'm going to share these words and then we'll talk about it. It says, "Do not love the world or the things that belong to the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in him. For everything that belongs to the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of one's lifestyle, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world with its lust is passing away, but the one who does God's will remains forever." So I share those words because I want to remind everyone out there, including myself, that we have to live a life that is for God. And we have to remember that even though it's not easy, even though the world around us is full of this lustful corruption, greed, anger, you name it, all of these things that take over our lives sometimes, we have to stand up to that. We have to live a more righteous life. We have to come forward and say we are of God, and for God we will live righteously. So that to me is what's important, especially about the words that are shared here. And you know, you can't love the materials of this world. You have to look to the life after and remember that it's all going to be passing, as it says there, but what is eternal is righteousness. What is eternal is God's recognition of man's will to remain loyal and faithful to God. So that's my message to you, and I hope it helps, and I pray for us all to continue to live that way so we can show others how to come closer to God, but then also that can heal our society, our world at large. So I'm hoping for that, and I hope you guys share that with your friends and family and spread that out into the world. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thank you guys for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for me. A few more things. Come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Also hit it, punch it, tap it, headbutt it, you know, kick it, knee it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.